Welcome back to another episode of ROC Boys Football. The fellas head to the SEC as the Tennessee Volunteers go on the road to Death Valley to play the LSU Tigers. This game should be at night. It's a noon kickoff. That is important to note when you're factoring in home field advantage. It's just different at night down in Baton Rouge. Still, this team, to be honest, I'll come right on for. I really like Tennessee in this spot. Inside of a field goal, if you look at the two pieces of body of work from Tennessee and LSU's been really good at winning sloppy games. Tennessee's just looked rock solid all year. I think this is the most complete Tennessee team we've seen in terms of having a good offense, but also a pretty solid defense. I don't love it on the road, but this is going to be a really good one. And before we get into it, I just want to say thank you guys, as usual, for all the support you guys have shown. If you guys do like the content, consider subscribing to the channel. We're almost at 2,000 subscribers, and that is thanks to all the support you guys have shown. So if you like the content, consider subscribing, like the video, and then leave your thoughts in the comments section. Dill, we have not agreed on many picks this week. Tennessee, LSU, I think we agree. What's your take on this game here?
I mean, my take is you just on the surface, I don't get it. I feel like LSU is, the way they're playing in the first half to three quarters of football games is like preposterously bad. Like their offense is so out of sync. They never move the ball. They give up points. And then somehow they like drag other teams into the gutter with them and beat them. It's like I just don't fundamentally get what Tennessee or LSU's doing to win these games because they look so bad for the bulk of it.
Yeah, and my biggest problem, let's start with LSU. And the problem I see with LSU, and we noted it after the game against Florida State where they lost, is Jaden Daniels has been a really good athlete. He's leading the team in rushing yards. I believe he's averaging over 5 yards per carry. We knew he was a really good athlete. But where LSU's strengths are, and I think he's starting, quite frankly, because that offensive line isn't quite there yet. So you need a quarterback that can extend plays. But where LSU really thrives at is their wide receivers. Malik Neighbors, Kayshon Boutte, Brian Thomas Jr. These guys it's one of the best wide receiving cores in the whole entire country. And Jaden Daniels, you look at the game against Auburn last week on the road, he's 8 of 20 for 80 yards. Kayshon Boutte caught one catch. Malik Neighbors with only 2 catches. Your leading receiver is John Murray Jr. with 1 catch for 39 yards. This offense is just completely ignoring the most talented position group on the field, and it's really hindering their offense. And I think they just got lucky that Auburn just really, really stinks because any really capable offense is scoring more than 21 points and winning that game.
Well, that's what I'm thinking. If you get even decent play out of the quarterback for Auburn, I don't think that game's wildly close. And what I will say Ashford was able to do for Auburn is his athleticism did help extend plays, break LSU down a little bit, and they made some plays off of that. Now, what I think you have in Hendon Hooker is a guy who is equally as athletic, but can also work the ball in the pocket and do the rest of the offense that Robbie Ashford just isn't quite doing yet. And maybe he will develop into that guy, but Hendon Hooker's there, and that's kind of why I see this game being a bit of a problem for LSU, because what Robbie Ashford did that worked against them, Hendon Hooker can do, but Hendon Hooker can do everything else.
Let me tell you, if Robbie Ashford is going 337 yards and 2 touchdowns on you, Hendon Hooker is going to piece up your secondary too. And this is something we talked about a lot. Jordan Travis had a little success with this LSU secondary. They look decent against Mississippi State, but this is a really, really new group. You have a lot of that secondary is built on transfers. Guess who runs one of the most complicated and hard to defend offenses in the whole entire country is the Tennessee Volunteers. They use every blade of grass on that football field. They run really intricate routes, and Hendon Hooker is one of the best, if not the best in the country, at getting the ball out quick and being accurate and beating you over the top. I see you getting some kind of splash plays where LSU maybe doesn't carry kind of a vertical, and Hendon Hooker is going to make those plays. I see a couple 50-plus yard plays for Tennessee, and I want to talk a little bit about the defense and how they stack up against LSU because, yes, LSU's defense is good. I think Tennessee's going to score 30-plus points. Now you're talking, can LSU have success against the Tennessee defense that, honestly, I just think is really underrated. They've only allowed 19 points per game, 407 yards total. They haven't been great, but they've been really, really good in the red zone, and they've been really, really good at forced turnovers.
Yeah, they did a pretty good job on Florida for the most part. I know that game kind of came back a little bit later where Florida did inch their way back into that game. But if you watch it wire to wire, Tennessee was pretty much in control of it on both sides of the ball throughout the duration. And frankly, I think Florida is probably better than LSU in my opinion right now. So I'm kind of with you. I think this Tennessee defense is last year like a very inexperienced, made a lot of bad plays, a lot of sloppiness. But I don't think LSU can block anybody up front. Doesn't matter who you are. And I think if Tennessee can just play solid and their linebackers who are athletic, if nothing else, can chase down LSU's quarterback pretty well, Daniels, I think they can do a good job stopping him because that's how a lot of LSU's been beating teams is Jaden Daniels just having to make a lot of plays on the ground.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. I mean, you're going to have to spy Jaden Daniels, but you have two linebackers who I think are very capable of doing that in Aaron Beasley and Jeremy Banks. What I want to see from Tennessee, and we talk about this a lot, I think especially for LSU, it's very important to get those negative plays. Something that LSU hasn't been great with. But they got guys like Byron Young, who I really do think can kind of get into the backfield, create some negative plays. Jaden Daniels, again, if you get him in 3rd and 7 where he needs to make throws from the pocket, you have a spy linebacker who can chase down Jaden Daniels in space. I really have a hard time seeing LSU work that football down the field. If you can get some negative plays, keep LSU off schedule and force Jaden Daniels to throw from the pocket, which he clearly has not been able to do all year.
Yeah, and that's not even all his fault because that offensive line can't block. So it's like you got a confounding of factors where, I'm not sure Jaden Daniels is the guy that everyone thought he was going to be after his freshman year at Arizona State. I don't know that you developed much into like that Heisman type player, but I mean, he's playing, and it's been a brutal spot for quarterbacks for a couple of years now at LSU, and that offensive line is really not close to being fixed. Garrett Dellinger, the starting left guard, is questionable for Saturday, and not that it even is like a huge, like, their tackles just aren't blocking guys. You saw against Florida State, they made Jared Verse look like a top 10 pick. I mean,
he might actually be a top 10 pick, though.
I mean, he's awesome for sure, but they made him look like he was like Jadeveon Clowney at his peak.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm nervous about. Is this LSU offense. I give Brian Kelly some credit because this team has been sloppy, and they're 4-1, and they're certainly not. They haven't been playing good enough football to be 4-1, and they're figuring out how to win these football games. I feel like Jaden Daniels, as much as he's frustrating me, needs to be the starter here, just because this offense line can't block. You throw Garrett Nussmeier out there, and he can't extend plays like Jaden Daniels can, and this. As good as these wide receivers are, like these quarterbacks don't have a chance to stand in the pocket and deliver the balls to them because the offensive line can't block. Really not getting much production from your run game if it's not Jaden Daniels kind of playing hero ball. And I just, again, against these Tennessee linebackers who are really, really liking space, I don't see Jaden Daniels quite having the success that he's had in the past couple of games, kind of creating with his own feet. So for that reason, I'm taking Tennessee inside of a field goal. I think this Tennessee team is about as complete as we've seen. And you're trying to pick a SEC team that can sneak up on Georgia and Alabama, and who has the firepower to do it. Tennessee won't have Cedric Tillman this week. But when you get Cedric Tillman back and you look at this wide receiving core, Jalen Hyatt, Brew McCoy, I mean, Hendon Hooker does a phenomenal job at just dishing the ball out to everybody. You have two really good running backs out of the backfield as well, with an offensive line that's improving. And this Tennessee team might be the 3rd best team in the SEC.
Yeah, no, I'm all aboard the Tennessee train. I think everyone who listens to us in any regularity knows I'm as big of a Hendon Hooker fan as exists probably outside of Knoxville. So, yeah, I'm all aboard the Tennessee train. I will never convince me that LSU deserves to be 4-1 because when you're losing as bad as they do in the first half of every game, I mean, Mississippi State, they beat them 21-0 in the fourth quarter. Like, it just makes no sense to me because they're always losing these games throughout. I don't know. I don't think you can do that against Tennessee.
That's kind of where I'm at. You won't get away with playing
because they'll beat you 40-0 in 3 quarters.
Yeah, you'll be looking at a 28-point deficit if you play as bad as LSU has played in the first 3 quarters. And again, like LSU being ranked with a win, I get on the road at Auburn. Auburn stinks. Like TJ Finley's bad. There's a reason Robbie Ashford isn't starting in front of TJ Finley. They have no wide receivers that scary. Tank Bisbee is like good, but the offensive line stinks. They can't run the ball. Like this Auburn team is not good. LSU only beat them by 4 points, and again, probably should have lost that football game, got outgained pretty significantly by then. I love this pick. This might be my favorite pick of the week. Tennessee -2.5 on the road. I think they win this game outright, cleanly. I think I would take this all the way up to 6.5. Like, I really like Tennessee in this spot. That'll do it from the boys. The fellas, again, 2 for 2 now. We've agreed on 2 straight picks. Tennessee covering 2.5 again. Appreciate you guys checking us out. If you guys do like the content, again, consider subscribing to the channel. We do appreciate it. Helps the fellas out a lot. And we will talk to you guys later.